Official Wandering Weekends campground review for Magnolia Springs State Park near Millen, Georgia. Welcome back, friends. We're so glad you're with us. If it's your first time with us, we do our campground reviews in 6 different categories, and those categories are accessibility, scenery, atmosphere, cost, comforts, and kid friendly. We rank them on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And you'll notice there's no such thing as a perfect campground, so a 45 or a 50 is a really, really good score. Let's get started. We always start with accessibility. Accessibility is kind of a judge of how easy it is to get to the campground. So distance from a major highway, ease of maneuverability once you get in there, any awkward campsites. Magnolia Springs scored really well on accessibility. It would have scored a perfect 10, but the dump station was terribly uneven. So you may have seen that in one of our past videos where we had to use the Anderson levelers to level the trailer out while we were dumping. But otherwise, it's very accessible. Big rigs, big fifth wheels should have no problems. Accessibility scored a 9. Next up is scenery. Scenery here is not spectacular. You're basically in a pine thicket, but because everything is so clean and so spaced apart, it's actually a very nice campground. Now, Site 1 and Site 16 would score much better because they have views of the lake, but otherwise you're just looking at pine trees, but you have big sites. So scenery scores a 7. Third category is atmosphere. This judges things as like staff friendliness, size of campsites, any parties quiet, did we feel safe? And atmosphere at Magnolia Springs is wonderful. The staff we encountered was very friendly, huge campsites, no parties, nothing inappropriate, felt very safe. Atmosphere, Magnolia Springs scores a 10. On to the cost category, and you can find this chart on wanderingweekends.com. Magnolia Springs is no different than all of the other Georgia state parks. $32 to $35 a night gets you water and electricity. We think it's a good value, but it still scores a 5 on cost. Fifth category is comforts. Comforts measures things like nearby dining, recreation, shopping, the campground amenities, the campsite amenities, privacy, things like that. Comforts at Magnolia Springs was actually better than we thought. The town of Millen has pretty much anything you might need. I don't think there's a Walmart, but there's several stores in town and a hardware store. And then the town of Statesboro is under an hour away, and that's a very large town with anything you'd ever need. So comforts were good. The campground was great. It's a state park. We had paddleboat rentals. You have canoe rentals. You have fishing. All of that fun stuff that goes along with our beautiful state parks. The campsite amenities were just average. And the privacy was really great. As I mentioned before, huge campsites. It scores an 8 on comforts. On to our final and favorite category, kid-friendly. And if I could give Magnolia Springs an 11, I would. It scored an easy 10 here. The playground was great. It was right in the middle of the campground. It was in great condition. There's plenty of recreation around with the paddle boats and the fishing. The fishing lake was within a couple of football fields of the campsite, which also meant it was far enough away where you didn't have to worry too much about the little ones. The campground traffic was wonderful. It was very low, and the campsite was very flat. Nothing odd or unusual, out of place. No dangers for the kids. It was just a really, really great campground for kids. It scored an easy 10. Bonus round time, and Magnolia Springs does score at 1 bonus point for its historical significance. This was the site of Camp Lawton during the Civil War, which was a POW prison, and the kids got to learn a little bit about the Civil War. Add it all together, and Magnolia Springs knocks it out of the park with a 50. This is a incredibly good score for the campground reviews. I'm not sure, but I think we've only had one other 50. We'll have a video out before the end of the year reviewing all of our campgrounds from this year, so stay tuned for that. Make sure to subscribe. But 50 is a really great score, and we agree completely. The campground review score really does a great job here. We loved Magnolia Springs. It's got everything you want, nothing you don't. And yeah, 50, what a great job the staff down at Magnolia Springs does. I hope today's review gave you a good idea of what's in store down at Magnolia Springs. We had a great time. If you like this video, make sure to share it with your camping buddies and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, guys.